It's Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
Oh, hey there. We're live now. Welcome, you guys. I'm so glad that everybody's here again. This is going to be a great evening. A lot of conversation and questions we're going to be having coming along. First of all, it's always great to see Mark and Sue Holstein. Thank you guys very much for joining us from Driftwood over there in Texas, which is near Georgetown, up near Austin. And also each week, John Custer is going to be here from Michigan. Glad that you came down and decided to join us then as well. Hope you guys and gals are enjoying your libation. Usually we have Nick Lewin and Susan joining us. I don't see them quite in here yet, but maybe they'll be entering the house here shortly then as well. I've got a little bit different camera I got here this evening, so it's a little bit wider and hopefully a little bit better kind of quality that we've got here this evening. But again, we've got just a bunch of folks who are going to be coming in. Oh, hey, Harriet's there. Harry Jacobson, you're from Michigan. Then also, of course, great to see you, my friend. Glad that you're joining us. Hope you got a fresh cold one there as well so that you can join us. All right. Well, I tell you what, as I said, we've got just a bunch of people. And as always, what I like to do, rather than introducing our guests, I feel that if I can kind of show you a short video clip of the person performing, that gives you a little bit more of their qualifications of what that they're going to be doing. While I'm showing you this first video, I'm going to, I think, pour myself then another martini over here. So let me get started with our first one. And he's going to be coming on as our first guest.
At Corteva AgriScience, every product starts with a question. What's your biggest challenge? Your needs drive our innovation and lead to proven solutions. For turf and ornamental landscapers, your creation is your calling card. You raise the plants and flowers that in turn bring beauty and value to homes and businesses. Your work is what keeps you in demand. Corteva offers solutions for upkeep of turf and ornamental plants, thriving for golf courses, lawns, landscapes, greenhouses, and nurseries. Keeping turf free of weeds, insects, and disease is a constant battle. Corteva AgriScience is committed to finding solutions that give you the flexibility and strength that you need to help thrive season after season. Corteva AgriScience, a commitment to growing progress.
All right. Well, there you have it. And there we have our first guest this evening, Scott Tokar. Hey there, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you as well. I haven't poured my drink yet. Should I do that?
Now's a good time. You want to go ahead and get it pour?
I'm bringing out the good stuff for you tonight. It's not a martini, but it's one of my favorites. We got a nice rock here. It's a crystal clear rock and little blue label. That's perfect for me right there, huh?
I love that. I'm a Scotch drinker also. It's on Thursday nights, it's martinis, but the other nights, it's going to be a good Scotch. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Let's bring on our next guest, another trade show magician and a titan in the business as well. And so let me show you this short video on Man, that is the coolest. I think that sizzle reel
Cheers.
says all right there. Cheers to you, Seth.
I brought out the cheap stuff.
Oh, that's classic.
That's exactly what you brought.
Millennial daughters, this is what you drink.
My daughter-in-law's favorite as well. He drinks that too. Cheers to you. I love that kind of a retro kind of a feel that is. I thought it'd be perfect like a martini for that kind of a look and feel like it was Austin Powers kind of a thing. Very cool. Thanks, Seth, for being here with us then as well. We got some other guys coming in. They're telling us that what they're drinking then as well. But I tell you what, let's bring on our third and final guest over here. And this video will tell you everything you need to know about him then too.
This is NBC 10 Boston News.
I love to invent things, and I mean, about 80%, 90% of the show that I do here is original material.
It's a show that's uniquely Boston. Meet the musician who has been dazzling fans for decades.
New at 11, he is one of the best musicians in the world, and now he's sharing his talent at the Omni Parker House Hotel, and that is where our Jackie Bruno caught up with him ahead of his uniquely Boston show.
You can see ball number 1, under cup number 1, ball number 2, under cup number 2, and ball number 3 right here under cup number 3. If I take 2 of them in.
Paul Gertner doesn't just perform magic.
You see now, the end cups are empty, and they've all come together in the center. Thank you. Thank you.
He invents it.
I love to invent things, and I mean, about 80%, 90% of the show that I do here is original material.
He's a world champion sleight of hand magician.
I want you to watch carefully.
I'm watching very carefully.
Who has dazzled not only me,
No. That is insane. I wish I could make money that quickly.
but also Penn and Teller.
Paul Gertner, you fooled us. You see that?
I've pulled them twice. Very few people pulled them even once. Well, you're seeing magic here I've been doing for 50 years. And it's been 50 years on one trick. So you either get good at that trick or you don't do it anymore.
Over those years, he's performed with Mr. Rogers, designed tricks for David Copperfield, and formed a friendship with late-night legend Johnny Carson.
It was fun to meet Johnny. I used to go to his house in Malibu. I used to teach him magic.
Now you can see him every night at Boston's Omni Parker House Hotel, a residency which allows him to live near his grandchildren and keeps his audiences small on purpose.
You tell me when, okay? Right there already. I wanted everyone to be able to see this kind of magic done up close, and that's the way it should be seen. I'm going to palm your card from the bottom of the deck and have it end up inside the little leather part of the wallet. For about 75 minutes, they will experience what it feels like to be a kid again, just for a moment. Oh, I said it would go in the wallet. I forgot to tell you, but it would also go inside my hand.
And isn't that the magic we're all looking for? In Boston, Jackie Bruno, NBC 10 Boston.
He's a star. I mean,
Paying very close attention to his hands. I couldn't figure it. Right? I didn't see it.
he's
great.
so good.
And such big names he was with, right?
And there he is, Mr. Paul Gertner. Hey there, Paul.
Hello. Good to be here.
I feel like we should give some applause here for your show.
That would be great.
So that kind of answers a question that I was going to have about that obviously what we've been doing, and obviously that you've been doing some one-man shows down there in Boston, or over there.
I have been, yeah. The last time I did it was on February 28th.
Yeah,
and,
been a while.
But yeah. So now the hotel was actually closed for about 6 months. They just opened now, but it'll depend on what happens as to when I can do the show again. So.
And so you don't know if it's going to be, as I understand it right now, of course, that Las Vegas is starting to slowly reopen then a little bit at least.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought perhaps that some of these other private shows, well, I mean, one-man shows, for an example, I just went to see Dave McGee's show in Fort Worth,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going. And so do you know whether Steve Cohen is doing his show or not?
He's talking about looking into it, but he hasn't confirmed anything yet. He was trying to
Scott just
ask
said no.
people. Yeah.
He's taking a survey actually right now. You can kind of go on his social media, and he's taking a survey. He wants to know if you want to come see the show. So get on to stevecohen.com or chambermagic.com and tell him you want to see his show. It's a great show.
And I forgot to ask you, Paul, so what is your favorite libation for this evening as you're having to drink?
Oh, I'm doing Guinness tonight.
I love it.
My Guinness. So cheers.
Cheers to you. That's mother's milk. And let me say cheers to everyone all around. I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, great to see the guys.
White car or whatever. Glad that you guys are with us. Well, as I said, we had a few people who are out here with us, and that I know Charlie McFarland, good buddy of mine, and yours as well, and of course Nick Lewin, and others who are trade show guys who are joining in then as well here tonight. And so I know that people have got different questions as to kind of what's been going on with everyone's life right now. And obviously that our lives have changed dramatically this year, as have trade shows. Do you see so far that trade shows have started to change from the standpoint that they are starting to have them virtually? Are they having some events where they're having speakers coming in and then having people? Scott, I see you kind of nodding your head. So what do you think?
Yeah, they're out of necessity. They've gone virtual. So, I mean, across the board, no one is having as great a success as they would hope, which is kind of good for us because that means everyone's really anxious to get back to live presenting and live, meeting again. Obviously, to make my customers happy, I've been doing a lot of virtual things and commercials and virtual cocktail hours and that kind of thing. But it's nothing like it was, live, as you would know, for everybody doing magic.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Certainly, that everybody is doing something a little bit different, and I know that you have been doing some of your shows then as well, doing these the virtual shows. And is that on Facebook also, Scott?
With the virtual shows?
Well, I mean, not the virtual shows, but you got another thing that you're doing, some videos that you're putting up, right?
Oh, I'm doing a lot of things right now, keeping myself busy, but also keeping myself connected to the industry. So I have 2 podcasts that I'm doing. I have one called Face the Event, and that one we interview often magicians about trade shows, events, conventions, that type of thing. Also, we're talking a lot to other folks that are doing live things like brand ambassadors and event staffers and that kind of thing. And then I have another one I call Conventional Protocol, and that's really more for the higher level, my customers, to learn what other people are doing in order to keep themselves up and running in trade shows. So, what are the protocols in distancing and hand washing stations and temperature stations and all of these kind of things. So I've been doing those 2 podcasts a lot. Is that what you were referring to?
I was referring to that then. And also, are those people coming actually then to your, let me rephrase that. The people who are listening to that, are they mainly clients of yours and others who are trade show people as opposed to magicians, I assume?
Yeah, Conventional Protocol, I encourage everyone to listen to that one because it really is the heartbeat of what's going on right now, mid-COVID and post-COVID. So go to Apple, go to Stitcher, go to Spotify, look up Conventional Protocol. And then the other one is Face the Event. Face the Event's a fun one. That's really more like I'm just chatting with my friends that are in the industry. But the Conventional Protocol is really giving you the pulse of what's going on. So that's mostly the trade show coordinators, the event marketers, the trade. We've had on there. We had the vice president of MGM, hotels talking to us about their what they're doing. We had the person that's the head of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau on there. We've had people talking to us about doing live at the show COVID tests and that kind of thing. So not as fun, not as laughing, but definitely great information.
I'm sure that's true. And so, Seth, what do you think? What's been going on then with you?
Well, I've actually attended a couple of these virtual trade shows, and I'll tell you, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be.
Is that positive or negative?
It's not a great experience as a show attendee, in my opinion. There's a lot of content. They try and put in a lot of content, so you're listening to speaker after speaker after speaker after speaker, and there's no great way that I've seen it done yet. They generally have a speaker, and there's a 15-minute break, and then another speaker, and then another 15-minute break, and it just goes on and on and on all day. And as far as the exhibit hall, I've seen a couple of ways that companies have been doing this. The one way that I thought was really strange was you actually become an avatar and you walk through a virtual trade show hall, and you could walk into a virtual trade show exhibit and be greeted by a virtual trade show booth staffer.
Robot.
Call you out by name, and you're in a chat with them, and it's really awkward. And just to navigate it with the controls, I'm not a gamer, but you need to be a gamer to navigate.
Is that
these
something that
things
goes through Twitch, or do they use just regular Zoom?
This one that I went to was on some platform. I don't remember what platform it was, but whatever it was difficult to navigate. I was bumping into people. I was bumping into poles, and walking backwards, trying not to. If you cross over into the booth, then they know you're there. If you're just outside the booth, you could read the signage they have. It was a little disconcerting.
Hey, Seth, do you remember? Do you remember a thing called Second Life? It was about 5-10 years ago. Second Life.
Yeah.
And it was this virtual world you could walk around in. And if you don't remember it, it goes to show you how successful it was.
Oh, there you go. Not only do I not remember it, I never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
It was in Wall Street Journal and everything, but
well, it seems like everybody is trying to figure out exactly what is that special sauce. And I mean, not just magicians, but in particular, businesses are trying to figure out how can we continue to keep this social grouping together, and particularly those who are the trade show organizers obviously are wanting to keep these things put together then as well. So I'm sure that it's just like right now, magic conventions have had, I know the TAOM, we had a 2-day weekend that was free. MAES had a 1-day deal. Vanishing Inc. Had one last April. And then we got some others coming up. I know that NEMCA is having something for the Yankee Gathering. And so they've decided that they're going to be having a pay-per-view. And so a little at a time, I think people are starting to figure this out. And I would think that companies would have in their IT departments people who can figure this out to try to put together some sort of a successful convention. As far as the walkthrough like that you're talking about then, Seth, it would seem to me that if they have like breakout rooms or something, if you can go into this breakout room that's sponsored by Coca-Cola, you go in this break room, it's by Pepsi or whatever it is for the show, that's there. If you want to know more information, you can go into that room. But that's not what they're doing yet at this point.
Not that I've seen. I mean, you can go up to the booth and you could look at the back wall, and there's usually a video going on or a PowerPoint presentation that they're scrolling through. But I've not seen anything like breakout rooms and things like that. Benches to sit down, which is ridiculous because I'm in my chair at home. I don't need to sit down. My avatar doesn't need to sit down.
Paul, let me bring you in here. Any things you can add there?
No, I mean, I've been watching the guys, that are like, I listened to, the podcast Scott does the other night, and, good information, and so on. And I can see why he's doing it, because it gives him a vehicle to stay connected with with the clients. And I think at this point in time, that's almost the main thing you can do. Like I did, for my people at my theater show, I haven't done a paid event for them or anything like that, but I'm holding a bunch of money from people that bought front row seats, and I said, do you want your money back? And many of them said, no, hold on, we'll come when you can get the show back going again. Of course, we thought that was going to be in May and June, and now it might be in May and June next year. I don't know.
Next year, maybe.
But that's the problem. But so what I've done is I've done a couple live Zoom shows for them, just put the word out to them, and just complimentary, a little 30-minute show just to say, hey, this is my show, thanks for coming to my show or planning to come to my show, and so on. So basically just trying to stay connected with this customer base. And I've done a little bit of that with my existing trade show clients, and talked to one client today. They want me to do a couple little videos, 3-4 minute videos. I'll probably use Unshuffled and the cups and balls and so on to kind of promote a certain product. Or actually what they want to do is they want to say, hey, we're not at the Supply Side West, and they want to send out a video, and they'll have me on it, and talk a little bit about, we miss you, we want to get back with you. So essentially, right, I'm helping them stay connected with their customers, and make a few bucks on it on the side, but that's really not the important part. It's more just trying to stay connected with them, because holding some of their money for deposits and the whole thing, and it's just a mess. It's just kind of crazy.
I was talking with someone with who was that about some trade shows then as well. I think it was Bobby and Fred Becker, and talking about the trade shows basically. And what they do is that they have some videos apparently that the entertainment director for the cruise ship would have. Some videos that would say, okay, well, this week we're going to be talking with the chef, and he's going to be giving you some cooking tips. And this week we're going to talk to the bartender, going to be giving, and this week we're going to talk with the entertainers, and so that the magicians talk about, and the dancers and whatever. And so they kind of do a little bit of a thing then also to try to keep them relevant and some sort of busy then as well. So it would seem that companies, or particularly trade shows, I guess, should be able to keep things relevant by putting out some content like that. When you were talking over there earlier, Seth, I think about the fact that having one boring speaker after another, you need to break that up. I think that's whenever that is perfect, that you would have a magician who's going to be entertaining and giving something that would be breaking up the messages at least a little bit, or maybe as an MC to give a couple of tricks or something in between as they introduce the next speaker or something, you know?
Yeah, Scott, the video that you showed was actually a video that I did for Corteva Agriscience for that very thing. That they're in a virtual trade show. They wanted something to put into their exhibit in their room. An exhibit, it's just a web link. It's no different than Google, really. But that's what you were actually seeing there. You weren't really seeing the trade show magic. You were just kind of seeing something that I'm doing for existing clients.
And I think that's tremendous. I think that's important, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If you prepare something for a client, they can have that not only on their website, but also whenever that if they do decide to branch out and they have these breakout rooms or something during a virtual convention, that you can go to this their site, and then you can say, and that'd be the intro that would kind of keep them interested enough to talk about, or maybe you bring up a point that would be of interest that they want to ask a question of a salesperson or get into the chat line or something like that, you know. So
that is the hope.
What do you think about then? Like right now, we're having these issues. Obviously, the main thing is, of course, we have to be socially distant, and the whole purpose for being a trade show magician is to gather crowds and to get people pushed in, of course, around your booth. Right. And I'm sure that's, Scott, something that you've talked about on your podcast as well. Can you tell me a little bit, kind of, each of you guys, I'd like to hear each of your thoughts as to what you think that the future is going to be as far as the next year, the year after. It's going to be kind of a slow roll, or you think everybody's going to come out all at once and start to congregate? Will the companies pay us again to come and try to draw these crowds, or they'll discourage it, or what do you think? Scott, I'm going to let you jump in here first.
I think there's three ways to answer your question. The first way is that I think that the public in general, all of us, we all have short memories, and we all want to jump right back into what was. So I think that eventually, coming along in maybe 12 months from now, it will be a little bit easier to pull a crowd. But what would I do now? Now it's all about traffic management. It's about managing a crowd coming in, educating them quickly on what your product is that you're representing, and then connecting them to the right individual, or giving them a path. An action step is what I usually say, to get them to the next step. So I might only put 3 or 4 people at a table to do magic for, and if a crowd starts to gather, I might release that crowd quicker, get them a QR code to scan to get a Zoom meeting with a person from the booth.
Good idea.
And then that's kind of what I would do. And then the third thing is that we're tired of the virtual thing. It's just, it's not gonna stick around, I don't think.
So you don't think that's going to be something that in the future that companies will be asking for? I disagree just a little bit, because I thought that this might be something that even when we get back together, that they might still ask us to say, let's bring in this person and they could watch us on the screen or something. And so I thought, ideally, wouldn't that be great if you could work 3 trade shows in a day, or Dubai today and Boston, this morning, and then this afternoon you're over here in Boston, and then you're over in Las Vegas for another one. And that'd be great. But Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
I think initially that idea of like Scott's talking about, that number one, you could put yourself as a crowd management expert, and just because you're managing a smaller crowd, that's still valuable to the client. But I'm thinking when it goes back, initially there will be a little, I think, resistance to having me at a show grab 50 or 60 people standing side by side. Not going to happen, I don't think.
At least not original, not
wondering-
initially, I think.
Not initially. I mean, there's going to be a little resistant to just, I think, even selling that concept, especially if we're still wearing masks and so on like that. But I'm wondering if it might not be a good idea to bring. I don't necessarily like to do magic and have it on a video screen, but maybe this is the time to use that. And of having the company say, "Hey, look, we're going to put a large flat screen. I'm not going to be there personally. I'll be there." But maybe you're actually in the booth, performing for a camera that's being broadcast on a screen at the edge of the booth. That not only can people see, but maybe they can see and still be socially distanced. And you could have 30 or 40 people watching, a big 70, 80-inch screen while you're doing some nice close-up magic. Who knows? But just a short 5-minute, 10-minute presentation, but it's live. You're interacting with them. So, sir, in the red hat here, say something, boom, boom. So we're far enough apart. And that might be an idea to keep in mind as you talk to clients. Because the interesting thing about this is, like I just talked to a client today about the video stuff, and they're in the business of, they do colorants on tablets. Okay, so if you want a blue vitamin supplement for your company, they'll get you the right blue, or they'll put your logo on it, and they do stuff like that. And I says, "How's business?" And they said, "It's insane." And there are companies out there, there are companies out there that are hurting big time, but there are also companies out there that are making hand over fist money, and because
during this time,
Zoom,
during this time, absolutely, right now, and not just only companies doing the virtual and Zoom and so on, but this is a company that sells tablet colorants, and they're getting more business than ever because people want supplements to enhance their immune system, blah, 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 blah. I was talking to my PR, a lady that did a little PR work for me for my show. And I says, "How's it going?" And she says, "Busier than ever." Okay. She's a little boutique PR firm. And for her business, she said, "However, my friend Judy, who has a PR firm, is crushed because she was in the hospitality industry, and she was in restaurants, and she was in restaurants and movie theaters, and all that killed. She's dead. Jude, the other gal, on the other hand, is killing it because she had the right client base. So don't be afraid to talk to companies and try to figure out which companies are making money, because if you come at them with an idea, I don't think they're going to be hesitant to spend the money to do it.
So they might be open to some sort of an idea. Well, how do you know which company would? That's kind of the special secret.
That's where you got to figure it out. That's where you got to figure it out.
Okay.
Takes a little analysis.
Yeah. There was someone else, by the way, that made a comment. Our friend Terry Ward. Then, do you mind showing us your ponytail?
There you go.
Yeah, I haven't had a haircut in 7 months, so I'm saving money on haircuts. So now I don't know what I'll do whenever, if I have somebody that wants me to do a show eventually, it's either going to be on my back and you take what you get, or else I'll be shaving it off.
That's funny. So have you done that consciously, that you tried to grow that, or are you just, since you've had one from before?
I haven't gone to a little barber up the street that I go to here, and we live in a little town called Winthrop, and the little barber I go to, I'm not so sure that the precautions would be necessarily that. I don't think it'd be that safe. So maybe if it was a big chain and they had to do the regulations, but my guy, I'm not so sure, so I haven't been there. So I just said, what the hell? I always jokingly said I'd grow a ponytail when I was going to retire. So I don't know. Maybe it means I'm retired. I'm certainly the age for it.
Now's the time. Yeah, like Michael Kaminsky says, now's the time to buy that Harley, Paul.
Yes, that's right. I think he's right. He just bought one. He told me. He showed me a picture of it.
So speaking of haircuts, have you had one in a while then, Seth?
Oh yeah, I've had one. I have a barber who works out of his home, so he has a little shop set up. It's one customer at a time, and he's pretty diligent about safety factors and wearing a mask. And I wear my mask, and I feel pretty safe being there.
That's good. Well, going back to the question I had asked both Scott and Paul that they'd both answered over there. So what are your thoughts as far as getting back together then next year or in future years as far as this socially distancing thing and drawing crowds?
Well, I do like Scott's idea. I think that's a very good idea. And talking to customers about being a crowd management expert and working with smaller groups. I think more than anything, as much as we want to get back, I think it's going to be difficult to do any kind of presentation that's going to draw any kind of a crowd if show management is not on board with it. If show management comes and says, you can't have any people, more than 2 people in your booth or 4 people in your booth, or I guess depending on how big your booth is, that's going to dictate how many people are going to be there. And, until show management is on board with having this type of service that we provide, this marketing tool that we provide for our clients, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what's going to be in the future. I'm hoping that it's going to be sooner than later, but it's already later than sooner. So,
well, that's true. And actually, that you can see that Jan Rose had asked about whether any of you guys have done an in-person show in the last few months or since March. Have any of you guys done anything?
Well, this is an in-person trade show. No,
I have not done any.
Okay.
No in-person trade shows.
Nope. I wouldn't.
There really are none to speak of.
How about,
there are none to speak
have you
of
done,
around.
Scott, have you done any in-person shows of any kind? Like
absolutely.
Danny Orleans, different people have you? Okay.
Yeah. In fact, Halloween was a great day for me. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of, in that sense, I'm kind of going back to my roots before I was doing trade shows because, there's a lot of local shows and local gigs to pick up. So I've been, blessed enough to be able to pick some of that stuff up.
It's good.
Hey, I might also say, Scott, that the reason that this virtual trade show stuff doesn't work so well is because you have a little technical glitch like I just did. I looked down and my computer got unplugged, and I'm like, holy moly, as the battery is dying and shut me down. So it's those technical glitches, and if I'm doing one of these shows, boy, that's worse than the sound system going out, isn't it?
It's always something with these shows.
Always something.
That's what I find. The stress level is. That's why I'm not doing much of the virtual stuff. I mean, I've done a few for good clients and so on, but the stress level of knowing there's 60 or 70 people on the other side, maybe if you've sold tickets, you've actually charged them money, and you've got cameras, you've got lights, you've got and I know, Kathy does the tech work, and people say, oh, you just have a director that does all that stuff and so on. I guess, yeah, that helps if you do something like that. But still, there's always something that can go wrong, and the computer overheats for the very first time. You forget to turn off your Wi-Fi maybe, and you're going on Wi-Fi and you think you're on the internet, you're on Ethernet. And so I just find the stress levels to be off the charts. And it's tricky.
I'm more tired after one hour doing a 1 hour happy hour than I am at 8 hours on a trade show floor.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that the customers aren't willing to spend as much money virtually as they are when you're in person. I mean, it's hard to talk them through these things. I was just working with an event planner for a big event we're going to do from a local speakeasy. So we're going to mix some drinks. I'm going to do some magic, and then we're going to interview some of their executives. And the amount of money that I'm asking for is just a fraction of what I would ask for doing a trade show. I'm not boy, I want the money. I want to be able to do the work, but it's just not like you're not respected. I don't think doing this as much as you are doing it live.
Do you think they were losing respect because of doing a virtual show? Because it's not the same. In other words, that your personality is hard to come across a screen when you can't react to actual responses from your audience when you don't see them. I mean, you can see them, but you know what I'm saying? You think that you're losing some respect for people who are doing
the connection is there. I can connect with my audience. It seems to be something
virtually,
about being live.
Of course, real time. You mean virtually? You can.
Yeah. I mean, well, if it's a taped thing, then you're just watching a magician on TV. If it's a Zoom kind of show where you're interacting like we are right now, I can connect. But still, in their mind, it's like, well, you're just going to go and get on a camera like I am, not wearing pants, you know?
Right.
So
I think it's the same with all of us here right now.
no one's wearing pants. All right. I just want to
No one's
make sure
wearing
it's not just me.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with we're not wearing pants among all you guys.
I heard Paul doesn't wear his pants behind the trade show podium.
That's right.
I've heard that too. I've heard that too.
That's right. I just forget to zip the fly.
Let's see.
It's also difficult. It's also difficult if you're not getting the money. If you're charging so much below what you're getting at a live event, and your customers are willing to pay a certain amount, how do you ever justify getting that price back up again?
Oh, that is an excellent, comment right there then, Seth. I hadn't thought about that, where that you charge X dollars. I remember talking with a trade show guy one time in which he was making a lot of money during the day, and they said, how much would it be then per hour? Well, you've got, to do just some walk around strolling. And typically you charge a little bit, a certain price, which is different, but he had to try to prorate that to his daily show, because it's like, hey, you only work for an hour for us for this money, but for the day you charge us this much money. What's the deal? So he had to kind of keep that there. And so I see what you mean, that sometimes if you start charging or giving away your virtual shows for nothing or a little bit of nothing, then it's kind of like, well, he already spent all that time and effort.
They don't understand how much work goes into it. I mean,
absolutely,
absolutely. Paul and I took a video class for 2 weeks to learn how to do some of this stuff, how to work this eCam and what kind of microphones we need and cameras and lighting and green screen and Stream Deck. I knew nothing about this in March. Nothing. Less than nothing.
Who
Nobody.
did?
But we're learning, and it costs money to have all this equipment, and the clients don't really know what goes on exactly behind the scenes. They don't know how much time and effort you spend. And, I'm finding it very difficult for clients to spend any reasonable amount of money for what we do.
So, to Joe Presto's point here, are virtual shows killing us in the long run? Anybody?
I think they are.
You think they are, Seth? Really? I don't think they're killing us at all.
I think they are.
I think people, you look at when some of these areas open up from being closed down for COVID, like a bar or something, and it's overpacked. People can't wait to make those connections and be live again. People are yelling they want Disneyland near me opening right now. So
I agree with that. I agree with a lot of people want the live shows, but I think if you go and it's hard to justify. I won't charge my clients much less than I'm charging them now. I won't go down to charging them $100 or $200 for a show when I'm charging them, a couple of $1,000s for the day. I just can't justify it. And my biggest fear when I started this, and I've since rethought it, but when I first started thinking about this, my biggest problem was not being as good on a Zoom show as my clients know me to be live. The expectation of what clients expect, because they know us, our clients that we've had for years,
right?
They expect a certain level, and you go on Zoom, and
that's a very good point.
It's hard to match that level.
If you don't have a Hollywood quality production of your show, then you're kind of diminished a little bit, because when you're performing live, they think you're a king, you're super. But then whenever you've got something that's kind of goofy looking or not well lit or something's not working,
or if something's a little glitchy or something happens or something just doesn't look quite right in a live performance, I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly think that some of the things going for us is that the real problem with going live right now, going to a trade show, of course, in Las Vegas right now, they have capacity rules. That's a problem to us right now. Right now, currently today, it's 1,000 people per trade show, 250 per room at any one time. However, that's going to open up. And when it does, it's not the government we need to worry about. It's the travel restrictions and the worries of losing the intellectual property that is a C-level executive's knowledge and information that they have about the company. With that in mind, I don't work for the company. If I catch COVID and die, it's sad, but it's not a huge impact to the company. So hiring event staffers, what we call them booth babes, and magicians is actually a plus. They can actually hire me and not worry about their intellectual property, keep their booth looking busy and active, even though they may not want to travel right now. I'm willing to do it, so hire me.
You've got a very good point about travel. I would think that right now it's a very difficult time to travel, and I don't know whether the companies are sending employees there, but I guess what I'm thinking is that in the long term, that companies who are kind of still doing okay, that they're thinking that what is the value then of us actually going and sending these people and paying for their lodging and transportation and everything to go to these conventions? Should we continue to do that? Are we putting our money to best use by that? Because we could do this virtually. It's been successful, and we're able to have these conferences online, and we don't need to have somebody coming in and helping us to facilitate this, because we can actually do this by Zoom, and we can save thousands of dollars.
It hasn't been succmarketing That's the problem. I've sat into discussion after discussion with high-level, marketing groups and this kind of thing, and they're all complaining that it's not working. And they also, the cost per lead, to close a sale at a trade show, they knew that they would go in there and spend $100,000 and get $10 million worth of business out of it. They're not seeing that they're spending. A lot of these companies are doing these virtual trade shows are the same organizers that were doing the live ones, and they're charging them like they're doing live, and they're getting not even 10% of what they used to get. They don't even want to do the virtual ones anymore. Bring back the live ones. And there was, I'll share with you on my podcast some links to people saying and studies that they've done that are saying that they can't wait to get back to live.
Yeah.
Well, Scott,
I can't wait to get back to live.
Scott, what's going on? Like, I know you've worked with Exhibitor Magazine and stuff like that. What's going on with Exhibitor Magazine right now? I'm just curious. Now that there's not trade shows, do you know?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I was supposed to be in Louisville on the 11th of this month, and I was all set to do it. I mean, but they've now gone 100% virtual with Louisville as well, which kind of surprises me. I mean, it was a very controlled environment at the Brown Hotel. Yeah. It's a little one. They call it Exhibitor Fast Track. So it's like I speak there, but the convention, which is usually in March or something, boy, that was canceled this year, and we have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, it's way up in the air.
If you read, I haven't read Exhibitor Magazine lately. But are they having stories about this in their magazine?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. And there's a weekly networking meeting, and a weekly, they do have a speaker on to talk about what's what. And I mean, it's the state of the state for trade shows. Whatever group it's with, the producers of exhibits or the people that are the independent contractors and things like that. They're all seeing that their customers are having troubles, spending with them or spending in virtual, and live will be back. Trust me.
Yeah, it will be. It just might be a year or two, though.
I agreed. I have no idea how long it's going to be. So,
But do you think that it's going to be a gradual kind of rolling out, or do you think, in other words, that they'll have they'll go from 6 feet to 5 feet and 4 feet kind of a thing? And
the first year will be gradual. The first year, absolutely, they're going to be very careful, dipping their toe into the pool before they dive in. Absolutely, and it's my job to be up on all of the regulations and be up on all of the ways that I can help them right now, so that when it opens up and things begin to happen, that where I'm right there for them as well. So it's going to be a lot more work for me going into this than what I used to do. I used to be able to just pull a crowd, But now,
now you have to pull a crowd and give them a COVID test.
Well,
exactly.
That's right. That's what I was about to say. It seems like that right now we're in a position in which that we're going to have to actually do more than just try to come and think of some sort of a creative idea about how to sell their product, but also to think about how to wrangle the people to make sure that you are staying socially distant or keeping in up with whatever that the rules would be of the convention show, of whatever that they're telling you to do. So our job has actually just been expanded exponentially.
Well, you know, if you go on YouTube and search my name, there's a seminar that I did for Skyline Displays. Skyline is, you know, the pop-ups and the portables, the smaller displays that most people have in an exhibit. They are the largest producer of those little pop-up displays. I did a seminar for them on what to expect, you know, mid-COVID and post-COVID. And there's a bunch of tips on there. I highly recommend that anyone that's looking at doing trade shows watch that seminar. Some of it's a little dated already, but some of the ideas that we're sharing on that seminar about how to distance and how to keep the separation. Remember, height equals distance as well. So if you're on a high podium, that's going to add to your distance from your viewers as well. So, you know, there's a lot of ways to take care of this.
And speaking of pop-up exhibits, I mean, it's all well and good when we have a client who has an exhibit that's, you know, 50 by 100. But not all of my clients have exhibits of that size. There are plenty of times, I'm sure you, Scott, and you, Paul, we've all have clients of varying sizes. We have small, middle, and large companies. And you know, it's going to be hard for those small booths, those 10 by 20s, the 10 by 10s.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to distance that? You can't have any people standing in the aisle. That's a fair chunk of business.
Paul, what do you think about
one idea, just as I'm thinking here, I could vision the idea of COVID and the requirements and parameters now that we have to deal with. It's changed things. Okay. Back in April, on my Facebook page, I put a picture of myself with a surgical mask. Right. And I said, where should I wear the Countryman mic, on the outside or the inside? And when I posted that photo, it was a complete joke. I was completely joking, talking about the absurdity of the idea that we would ever do a show wearing a mask. Okay. 6 months later, that's not a joke. And the interesting thing is now you can be viewed. We see people with masks and we've accepted that. So keep in mind, it might not be the craziest idea in the world. If I'm standing on a 3 foot by 3 foot platform, okay, and I have my little table in front of me and I'm doing a show, what if I were to say to the client, here's what we do. We have boom, 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 3 plexiglass walls, one in front of me, one here, one here. Now, I know I can't have anyone take a card. I know that limits that. But I put myself, okay, as the performer behind plexiglass. All right. And then we social distance a couple people and we keep the crowd small, like Scott says. And I do a 10-minute show. Maybe I even work a trick in where the card sticks on the plexiglass or so on like that. Or somebody, what's your name, ma'am? Judy, boom, there's Judy on the card on the plexiglass wall. But nevertheless, I do a show. They might accept something like that. It looks weird in any other world, but in the COVID world, that might look like, hey, that's a great idea. You know,
hey, I've got an idea, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this for sure, Paul. Do you remember Giovanni? He had a character for a little while where he was Zoltar. So he was in one of those things as Zoltar. You could totally put yourself in a booth as Zoltar, even for private parties.
Idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to need to do that much, though. I honestly think that as we get a vaccine or vaccines, and as we get better treatments, and as people begin to relax a little bit, I think that we're still going to have to wear masks when someone's sick or needs to cough and that kind of thing. But I think that this is going to clear up. I'm very optimistic on this.
Mm-hmm. I think once the vaccine hits, there's a scientist that does a lot for the New York Times, does a lot of talking about it, and he's the one that talks a lot about the concept of the hammer and the dance, how we'll open up a little bit and then have to pull back a little bit until the virus is under control. But his thing is, they were asking him, are people going to take the vaccine and so on? And he says, well, it's going to be like the polio thing. once what's going to happen is the vaccine is going to be here, and people are going to look and say, okay, fine. Do I want to take it? Maybe I'm a little scared, but do I want to not fly anymore? Do I want to stay at home all the time? Do I want to keep my kids away from school? Do I want to do this? Give me the vaccine. And they'll take the vaccine. And so the acceptance will be there. And I think, like Scott said, once the vaccine is there, I think the mindset of the convention managers will change too. And I think they will start to say, okay, fine. But initially, I think as a performer, we have to be very sensitive to that, especially if we're selling ourselves as someone who draws a crowd. Okay. But if you can sell yourself as someone who knows how to draw a safe crowd, now you got value. And that's where it's going to go.
Draw
I
a
think.
safe crowd. Yeah. So you're having to
Safe
actually,
crowd.
again, as we were saying, learn a lot more. You're doing more than just trying to sell their product. You're actually having to be the doctor, I guess, in the house.
Just
almost.
Just
the vaccine thing is going to be a turning point. I'm a man of faith, so in faith experience, sometimes there's a mountaintop experience, or there's a baptism, or there's a something like that, and that from that point forward, your life goes on, and you mark it from that thing. And I think that the vaccine is going to be the nationwide turning point, marking point, where people are going to say, that was the moment when things started to get better. Now, whether they take the vaccine or not, it still allows us all to turn that corner and start to say things are getting better. And boy, oh boy, just for that purpose, whether you take the vaccine or not, I can't wait for that thing to be out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if some of those people who are anti-vax people will not take it. But that's a whole.
No, but again,
it'll be their decision then.
Their decision, but they're going to start to think, do I want to not do this, and this? No, I'll take it. They'll come around. I think they'll come around.
Seth, are you going to say something on that?
No, I think there's certain groups of people, I don't think, no matter what, they're not going to take it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. I think you're right on that then too. By the way, that there was something I forgot that I was going to mention a little bit earlier. Scott, whenever that you were the other day when we were just chatting, you said you had a book of Paul's that
I do. I have it right here.
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a second.
Now, Paul, you told me when we were in our quick rehearsal for this, you told me that this is, you can tell immediately this is a first edition, and why is that?
Yes. Okay, I can tell that's a first edition because the photo on that image is flipped. Okay, if you look, I have the cup in my left hand and the ball in my right. I never held the cup in my left hand. I always held it like this, with the cup like this. So what happened was when Richard Kaufman published the photo, or printed, we printed the covers. All of a sudden, I got the first one. And it says, "Richard, it's flipped. My ear, this ear sticks out, not this ear," and it's flipped. And that's how I could tell. So first, I guess the first 1,000 or 2,000 copies or whatever have me holding the ball this way. But if you look at the first photo in the book, you'll see it's actually this way, and that's how I could tell that's a first edition. But so someday I'll have to reprint the book.
You got the second page there, Scott?
What's that?
I said you have the second page that shows the flip version.
Yeah, here's the flip version.
See, that's the legit way. That's the real
right.
photo.
And here's the cover version. About my
yeah.
Now I don't remember, Paul. This one has Unshuffled in it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're watching us right now and you're thinking, "Boy, I love trade shows. I want to do that." Go learn Unshuffled. It's like one of the best trade show tricks around, and we are so blessed that Paul shared that with everybody here. Really, what you should do is not only buy the book, but also make sure. Don't you have a video of this as well?
Yeah, there's a
Paul?
DVD. Yeah. There's
go buy his DVD. Go buy his DVD. He needs the money, and it's totally worth it.
Well, when it comes down to that, by the way, that reminds me of another thing, of course, that Seth Kramer's got an excellent book out with contracts and everything that has to do with trade shows as well.
Trade show handbook.
Trade show handbook.
I just had those reprinted.
Did you? Mm-hmm. That must be what, 10th printing or something?
Oh my God, I've quite a few printings it's been through. I don't do that many at a time. I don't do 2,000 at a time. just because the market doesn't bear that. But it's sold quite a few for a little niche market.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put my plug in. If you are interested in any type of business, then go buy my illusionist.com class, How to Make Six Figures in Magic. I think currently right now, the How to Make Six Figures in Magic is actually got some decimal points in it, but that's just because of COVID.
And decimal points, yeah, in the wrong place, yeah.
But you know, and there I have, like Seth. Seth's book is excellent as well. A great resource. And he really does tell you the down and dirty of trade shows. Darn it! How come you shared all that information?
But you know as well as I do that there are no secrets.
Yeah. Well, and then the How to Make Six Figures course covers restaurants and birthday parties and trade shows and sales meetings and all sorts of stuff there. So,
yep.
You know,
and my Penguin lecture too. I actually have some of those too, which is really a fun thing to watch. Actually see my it's trafficstoppers.com/handbook is the link for the book. But
say it again. There's
trafficstoppers.com/handbook.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that's my website, but that's the link for the site. And if you're interested, there's a lot of information in there.
That's great. Well, let me ask if there is anything else really that you guys think, I mean, over the last few weeks or months, actually, Scott, that you've been sharing things on your podcast, some things we had left out as far as kind of the high points of things that we should talk about here then right now, or might be some information we can share with other people who are listening right now?
Well, I think that Paul kind of blew my cover a little bit there. In realizing that what I'm doing in the podcasts is that I am keeping in contact with my customers and keeping myself in the business. Because everyone's at home right now. All the trade show coordinators, all the people that would hire me are working from home right now. And giving them some resources and that kind of thing actually keeps me connected with them. So that's important no matter what you do, whether you're a restaurant magician, if you're a birthday party magician, make sure that listen, if I was doing birthday parties right now, I would be making birthday party greeting cards for all the kids that I did shows for last couple of years with a quick magic trick for them to play, because they're going to remember you when this is all over. And when this turns, it's gonna turn pretty quick compared to the longing that we've had in getting back to work here.
Well, that's a good point. I think that everybody is actually tired of this, and there's such a pent-up demand that I think everyone's going to burst out of the gate. And that was why I was asking earlier whether you think that people are going to slowly engage and start to attend, or that they will just kind of, like, I've had enough of this, I got to get out of the house, and everybody will hit it at the same time.
Yeah, at first it will be the slow roll, but then we'll see it get back together very, very quickly. And then Paul, I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, and Seth, so we can get back to the trade show dinners.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages that I see, of course, that what I'm doing with this program then right now, of course, is having the idea that we can actually get together the way that we have been, so we can, like at trade shows or conventions or wherever we have an opportunity to have lunch or dinner or have a drink or whatever, that we've missed those social interactions that we've had with one another. And so hopefully this virtual happy hour has kind of brought us together then a little bit here then as well. Let me see. Jay Press, the economy can't take much more. No, I would agree. And Charlie McFarland, yeah, thanks. I appreciate. Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Good buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Charlie McFarland, boy, oh boy, I love being on the trade show floor with him.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. Man, he can really draw the crowd too. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
And and also that I agree. Yeah, Sammy Woolman says Magic will be back stronger than ever. I agree so too. That I think that
I do too. I always listen to what Sammy Woolman has to say. That's my daughter.
Oh, is that right? Sammy's your daughter?
Yeah. You just surprised me. I didn't know she was watching.
Well, there you go. And then, Paul, your show will begin as soon as that we're able to get free, huh?
Yeah. I was really intrigued. I watched, Steve Cohen ask his audience and doing a little survey and so on like that. And, I think I'm going to probably wait obviously, right now, November, December, January here in Boston, it's cold. I didn't plan on doing anything in January and February anyhow. But I'd love to be back doing it in March or April and see what happens. But I'm doing a close-up show, and I really don't want to do a parlor show. So I'm going to wait and see what happens. Maybe I'll have to do a few more shows per night, and maybe for a smaller group initially, and negotiate with the hotel for a better price on the room, so I can afford to do it. Or maybe not make much money on the first month, 2 months, 6 months, who knows? And then eventually bring it back, yeah. But I'm hoping by next summer that it'll be back to normal. I might be dreaming, but I'll dream.
So you're not really thinking about necessarily having socially distant chairs? In other words, in a room where you'd be performing, Paul, that you, instead of having 50 people, you'd have 25 people? You'd rather do the full show?
I'd rather do the close-up show the way it is. And the problem is people have bought higher price tickets for the 12 front row seats, and they expect to be right there at that table. Right. So if I want to tell them, oh, by the way, we're doing the show, you paid top dollar for my front row seats, but you're going to be sitting 10, 15 feet away from me, they're going to be disappointed. So I'd rather wait Paul, a little longer. And yeah.
Hey, Paul, you remember Men in Black? There's the question time when he has to fill out the sheets. They're in those egg chairs. What you need is those egg chairs.
Egg chairs. I have a hard enough time getting that hotel to buy me tall bar stools in the back, let alone egg chairs.
I know what you mean. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you guys very much. This has just been a joy. I can't believe that an hour has just gone by so quickly over here. And I thank you guys for joining me. And thanks for cheers to each of you. Thank you, Scott Tokar. Thank you, Seth Kramer and Paul Gertner. Thank you guys very much for being here. I know that there was a lot of information that you guys shared, and that someone mentioned that was great that you were so transparent and talking about a lot of this stuff. And we hit a lot of different areas over there. So that was great. I look forward to us actually being back together in the real world sometime soon, hopefully.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Magic Live or something. Okay.
That's right. Magic Live.
All right. Take care. Yeah, that'd be great.
I think, in fact, isn't Stan planning on that next year? I think in August.
Is he?
I think he is.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I hope so.
Keep your fingers crossed, man.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Love you guys. Good seeing you again.
Okay. Love you.
Good seeing you too, Scott.
Till later.
Seth, Paul.
Bye.
Bye, guys.